When building a native Android application, right, there are a lot of things you want to consider. And one of those things is the way you want to structure your project, maybe the architecture of your project also, right? And you can choose to keep it simple by using this single module project, or you want to use multi-module project. For single module project, maybe you are sure that you are the only developer that will be working on it, and your project or the solution is quite straightforward, right? And you just want to keep it simple. This is fine, right? You can just choose to use the only module that will be created by Android Studio when you create a new project, which is app, right? Then you can structure your features within the same module, which is app. For this, you just need a single build logic, that is the Gradle build logic, build file to configure your app. But if you are sure that your solution is going to scale a lot, you have multiple developers working on it, and you want a solution that you can easily test, that is easily maintained, and a solution that will scale, right, then you want to go for multi-module project. In this, you are going to break down different layers to different modules, right? So you are going to have a lot of modules to manage here. But for this, you can easily test your app because you can test different modules, different unit of your app in isolation. And this is better for separation of concerns, right? Because everything will be well defined. But for this, you need a shared build logic to manage your dependencies and to configure your modules, because you don't want to start going through different build logic to manage different modules, right? So you need a centralized way, and that centralized way is conversion plugin. There's actually an official project, sample project that you can try out, which is now in Android. You can check it out in the official Android site, right? So you can make reference to that. So let's try this out in Android Studio. We'll make use of this demo app, which is point of sale, that has four features: authorization, purchase, card reader, and printer. So let's try this out. Now in Android Studio, I just created a new project by creating it this way, new project. For this, I selected empty activity, then I fill in this form. Though I left the default SDK, minimal SDK, to be Android 7, then the build configuration language. I'm using Kotlin DSL, which is the recommended one, then finish the project. So you are going to get this. If we go through this project, switch this to Android here, come here. Now you can see that the build files, we have two here, which is this is project level, and this is the app level, and this is module, right, which is the app level. If you go in here, everything, the configuration, your dependencies, everything will be managed by this file because it is a single module. So we're having just this here. Come down to settings.gradle.kts, right? You can see only one module is included here because this is the only module we have here, right? And then when you come back to your project, let's change this back to this view, which is the project view. From here, you can go there and you see that the version catalog. Where's the version catalog? Is it this space? Now let me go back to the other view, Android. I want to show you something about the version catalog, which is this, right? The version catalog, and this is the file that manages everything about your libraries and their versions, right? There's different section to this. There's version, there's libraries, and there's plugins, right? So you have different section to this. If you just want to easily manage your libraries version, right, you can easily change it here and you are good to go. And this will cut across every feature, every module. Even if we are using multi-module approach, right, you're going to have just one centralized way to manage your dependencies and library. Good. So let's switch back to this. This is the package we have here, right, under this, which is under module, which is the only module that was created by Android Studio. So this is a single module approach we're using here. So we can easily group our feature here, like have a package, call it core, right? Then you can have others, which is auth. We have auth. We do have purchase. We do have a card reader and printer. Then we have purchase here. Then we have card reader and printer, right? But within every package, you still want to maintain a very clean architecture, right? By having separation of concern, even in this single module approach. For this, you have data layer here. Then you should have domain layer, right? You have domain layer here. Then you have presentation layer, package presentation layer. Right now, this is good for core. Now, core utilities is just every other function that other packages or other features will make use of, right? Instead of having them duplicated everywhere, then you can easily put them in here, then they'll make use of it. So just in case in the future you want to scale up your project from single module to multi-module, so you can handle them separately by handling different packages here, right? And we have the main activity here, which is just the only activity, and this is the activity that will usher out our UI to the end user, which is compose. Very soon we'll get to this compose, right? But for now we're talking about the architecture and structuring of our app. So you see, this is actually straightforward. For this, we're going to maintain the only single module that was created by Android Studio, which is this. So let's try out the multi-module. For the multi-module, instead of having these packages this way, let's delete them, these three, right? What you need to do is to create them as different module, right? Then when we come back here, you right click, you create module. When you are creating a module, you need to choose the template here. It could be that you just need an Android library. If it's not Android library, maybe it's just Java or Kotlin library. But for this, we are choosing Android library. The first one, we should have core. Within core, we want to have data. So we're breaking down every layer. So if you break this down this way, maybe you want to change the package name here too. Finish up. Now, if you come back to the settings we visited earlier, right, you can see that we have more than one modules here now. We have one, then we have two. Yeah, which is called data that we just created, right? It's actually see building. When you finish building, then we can create others and we'll see how we can manage our project or dependencies, right? When you want to use them in other modules. So if you check here now, we have this now, this, then we have this. This was the one that was created by default, and this will always be our entry point to our application. So you leave this way. Then you have core. For this core, you can actually add more. Create it here, library, and this is core, not code. Then presentation, right? Then we can easily have it here. Core. Finish this up. Let's see. So we have other. It should be added to our settings. Yep, this one that we deleted should be out of this place, right? And we have this way, this. Okay, good. Now if you come back to this place, on that corner, can you see we have data, we have presentation, then we can also have domain there. But for this, we have features, right? So let's create module for feature, right? Let's say the first feature is hot. We have this. So you can have it this way, feature column hot. Then you want to rename this to this, and you finish it up. So every other features will be grouped under this, right? Just the same way we have it under core. So if you check here, can you see it has been added here? So you can add more of this to this place. Then I made mention of something that there we're going to have different build.gradle files. Can you see one here? If you check here, you have here. If you check here, you have here. So it's going to be tedious to start maintaining every one of them. So we should have a centralized way to maintain all configuration when it has to do with build logic, right? There's an approach to this, which is a new module, right? This is just going to be pure Java and Kotlin library, not Android library itself, right? Then you have it this way, you call it build dash logic. There's actually an official sample project that you can make reference to when building multi-module project, right? And that is now in Android. You can check that out in Android official site, right? So we have this way. We want to have column. There's another one inside which is convention, right? So for this, we'll just have a build logic or build convention. Then for this, we can leave it as Kotlin. Then you finish this up. Now, if you check here, this is it, right? And this is just a pure Java or Kotlin library, not an Android library. But this will be automatically added to this too. But for this, we don't need this at this point. We don't need this at this point. There's a way to have this because this will be available automatically to other features right? To other modules, I mean, because the libraries, every other module will be depending on this particular build logic to manage their configurations. That is build logic. So the way to achieve this is to come back here and include. There's a feature called include build. We have it this way, right? Good. Now you see we've configured this. We're having different modules here. For this, if you want to add your purchase layer, you can add it here too. Purchase feature, you can also add it here too, right? So you see we're good to go. We have a build logic. This is to share uh, build logic among every other module instead of having them separately in different module, right? So it means when you come back to this place, this particular one, you are going to remove a lot of things here. So just dependencies and plugin, every other thing like to this point will be managed by this build logic. You can make reference to that official sample I made mention of, which is now in Android, to get this right, right? But most importantly, we're able to group our features, different modules. We're able to create different modules here. So, and this is good to go. If you want to go back to the entry module, which is your entry point, and you want to make use of any other module, you can simply have it here, right? Maybe this dot presentation, and you can have it this way. So this is good to go. And thank you for watching this video. My name is Chanti Adebowale. Have a good day.